Welcome back to Lime Rock Park, where we are in caution number 2 in this 2-hour race of round 4 in the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series. We've got 45 minutes left to go, so it's a bit of a nervous call for a number of these drivers on whether they try and make it on one stop or do they fill it up, because a few guys, and especially in the Mustangs, are banking on trying a one-stopper from what we can tell, but it's still very uncertain. And especially with Amjad Yaman being one of the guys taking a very early stop in ST. We've been talking about who's looking good here, Bill, and he's currently sitting in third, but it seems like we think that Amjad should be able to be the most likely to make it to the end of these top guys in ST.
Okay, well, I got to assume that I got to put my faith in Giannis and Freitas being able to do the math. They didn't come in. Certainly, if they need fuel, they would have come in. But their tires are not quite so bad because I think they changed tires on their stop. So maybe their tires are scuffed up a little bit. Yaman has fresh left side tires. He can go the distance. Now, the guy I think that you got to watch out for is Sergio Mora. He came in again, topped off, got fresh tires on all four under the yellow. So I think if I were a betting man, and unfortunately my wife will testify that I am, I would put my money on the other guy from Portugal, Sergio Mora.
And apparently Amjad Yaman is dropping back right now. We're not entirely sure why. As the marshals try to sort it out, we're gonna fill in the gaps there on where everybody is in a second. Once we have the lights off on the pace car and we can tell that they're done shuffling these cars around. As we said, they will restart separately. Or, well, not separately, but they will make sure that the classes are not mixed on the restart. So the GS cars will only be around GS cars, ST cars will only be around ST cars. That can be a little bit tricky sometimes for these marshals, so you have to cut them a bit of a break for some of these longer cautions as they try and sort that out. And I believe, let's see if those lights are still on the pace car. I can't quite see from here.
All right, man. Lights are back on the pace
Nope,
car.
they
We're
are
not
still
going
on.
green this time. We are not going green.
So we are still going to continue on around for at least 2 more laps, it looks like. But in the meantime, boy, pit stops, Ayrton, are looking like a very interesting proposition. Kimo Swamanen, I believe, has come in for his second one. Is that correct? I'm sorry, we had a bit of a technical problem with Ayrton Ellis. We'll have him back in just a moment. But, so, things are looking very interesting in both classes because of those pit stops. Patrick Bieri sitting on top right now with Darius Bolowski very close behind. As we said, Kimo Swamanen has stopped in for a second stop because he was one of the earlier stoppers as far as green flag pit stops goes, and he is sitting in fifth as we try and get things sorted out. Like I said, I'm going to try and wait until the marshals have started to really solidify where everyone is supposed to be in their classes before calling that. And guys are getting into position. And I can see actually Jared Janis is slotting behind these GS cars as they're starting to get on by. We've only got a few more to go. And I think they should be in order as Matthew Oak seems to be the last car in line on the GS side from what I can tell. So hopefully this time by, we are going to get lights off. And yes, the marshals have confirmed the lights are going to stay off this time. It is 1 to green, guys. And let's go through the top 10 in each order now that pit stops have worked through and we're about to restart. Ayrton, what does GS look like after all the shuffle?
Well, Patrick Bieri decided to not pit. He's in first place. Darius Pulowski, our pole sitter, in second. Brendan McIntyre in third. Sean Vandergriff in fourth. Kimo Swamanen, our previous leader, in fifth. Jason Lundy in sixth. Doljon Boltron in seventh. Jason Breifogel in eighth. Wayne Bork in ninth. And Elliot Huffman in 10th.
And in ST, Bill, what did the top 10 look like over there?
Okay, it's Yuri Yanis back in front with Yao Freitas behind him. Sergio Mora with 4 fresh tires in third. Amjad Yaman with 2 fresh tires in fourth. Thomas Torp in fifth. Richard Losper in sixth, followed by Matthew Reinhold, David Wammond, Arthur Chan, who's had a quiet race running back there. Hang Hao Tao and Russell Clausen running out the top 10.
And unfortunately, it looks like we've lost quite a few of the ST cars because both Hang Hotel and Russell Clayson are out at this point. So they've been dropping quite a bit in that what was already a small field started with 15. Now we have 9 left, but it could drop to even more. We'll have to see who can make it to the finish as the pace car is about to pull off into the pits, which it does now. Patrick Bieri has the lead and he accelerates away. Darius Belowski gets a decent jump, but it's not enough as they're heading down towards turn 1. Brendan McIntyre is looking towards the outside and under braking. Kimo Sawamanen already overtaking Sean Vandergriff with some very late braking and looking to make an impression early on.
And those are on old tires as well, so he has no advantage over these guys. That was pure driving ability right there for that move into turn 1.
Meanwhile, the ST class, what does that start look like, Bill?
Giannis holds the lead through the first corner, and Freitas is right behind him. Mora's in third, and Yaman's in fourth. Now, here's what happened here, guys. We talked about Mora making up all that time when they made their pit stops under green. Well, that was because Mora didn't take tires. So when the yellow flag came out again, Mora jumped in, took all 4, did not lose much track position. I think he's the guy to beat.
Well, it looks like it could be a straight fight between himself and Amjad Yaman, and we saw at Sebring a few months ago that Amjad is not afraid of a late race fight to try and take the win, and he did so successfully there at round 2, so he could be a hard cookie to try and make crumble here as they continue on through lap 74, and the leader, Jer Janis, is starting to pull a gap away from João Freitas once again, Bill.
Yeah, but I'm gonna step out of my position and go back up to your class. Kimo's moved up to third place. I think he's the guy to beat. Where's my bookie? I want to put some money on Kimo.
Well, Ayrton, it seems like Kimo Sawamanen cannot be stopped. He's got, I believe it's 2 wins so far. I think he won Sebring, unless that I'm mistaken. That could have been Patrick Bieri, actually. I'll have to go back and check on that. But he definitely won at Laguna Seca and just could not be touched there despite a late race caution. Right now, he is pulling up to the back of Darius Belowski in second place, and I think he's going to be hungry to try and move another step up the podium.
Yeah, he collected 2 positions in that first lap of that restart, so he's definitely on the move, and he's already caught up right on the back of Darius Belowski. And by the way, it was Patrick Bieri that got the win at Sebring, but Kimo did not finish far behind, so he does have a lot of pace.
So we do not have a repeat winner yet in the the GS class. Well, yes, Patrick Bieri is looking to become the first repeat winner, but Kimo Sawamanen is going to try and stop him from doing that. He is right up on that bumper of that blue and green car of Darius Belowski, trying to make inroads. He's not going to be able to do it coming up the uphill unless we get a mistake from either driver. No, they both were able to navigate that very tricky corner, but now he is less than a car length. Look at that, right up on the bumper. I'm wondering if we could hop in the car of Kimo Sawamanen and see just how close he is to that Mustang. Now we're on board, and just look, he's going to take a look down the inside. This is a good place to try get it done here as he tries to outbrake him. Now we're outside the car, and it looks like he's got the inside coming through turn 1. It's not impossible to defend, but today he's not going to be able to do it as Darius Belowski moves down into third position and Kimo Sawamanen up into second, and he hasn't lost any time to Patrick Bieri, Ayrton. He is still on the back of that that black and blue car in the lead at the moment. It is looking likely that Kimo Sawamanen is going to be able to get to the front before we hit the half hour to go mark.
And yeah, Darius Belowski looking to struggle quite a bit because he's already dropped a little bit off these guys. He might be struggling a little bit with his tires since they are on a longer stint. No one took tires in that recent caution, so he's struggling quite a bit. And you're right, Kimo Swaminen's on the move. He only has Patrick Bieri right in front of him. As we saw earlier, he was able to pull away from Patrick Bieri just on raw pace alone.
We are back on board with Kimo as he tries to hunt down the GS leader. We mentioned it earlier that Darius Belowski seemed to be struggling with that race pace, and I think it's pretty obvious at this point that it's true. He just cannot make good on that single lap pace. Although some of those guys could have been struggling with traffic and qualifying, that could explain how he was up front. But as we watch on board here with Kimo trying to close in as they go through turn 4, now towards turn 5, down the no-name straight. Not able to make ground at the moment, but all it takes is a bobble. We've seen mistakes change positions before, so Patrick Bieri at this point has got to be perfect. Now heading into that downhill, another corner where mistakes can be costly. See if they can keep it within the track bounds. Try to stay out of that dirt on the left side. They both do so quite cleanly. And it sounds like that Amjad Yaman is on the move.
He got around Sergio Mora. He's got the two leaders, Freitas and Giannis, in his sight.
And there's a battle going on between them as Freitas was trying to take a look on the inside of Jared Janis. This is the closest we've seen him, as it looks like Janis is struggling on pace now. It looks like João Freitas has a good run, but Janis defends down the inside into turn one. They get very close together, and now Freitas is going to try and outbreak him. He's a little bit farther, but he's on the outside. Is he going to be able to do it around the outside? It looks like he's going to try, but just doesn't have the momentum, as Jared Janis is able to defend, and now he slots back. But it looks like Freitas is not giving up. He's got the inside for this only left-hand corner, and that could be the only thing that he needs. They're still side by side, and it looks like Janis is not giving up through four. Still side by side once again. Yaman is getting up into it. They're going three wide down the no-name straight, and Yaman wisely backs out of it. Still side by side, but Jared Janis has lost some momentum. He's got the inside into five, and now he finally gives up the ghost. Yaman has now got the momentum. He moves up to the inside of Jared Janis as they head towards turn 6. Is he going to be able to get it? Yes, 2 spots in 1 lap as Jared Janis moves down from first to third, and João Freitas is our new leader, Bill.
It took Freitas half a lap to make that pass for the lead. That was incredible. Yaman takes advantage, moves into second. If he can stay in the tow, I think he might have the pace for Freitas.
Caught me off guard there for a second. I was going to try and take a sip of water after all of that talking that I had to do for an incredible battle, and it sounds like we've got a big battle going on in GS.
Yeah, Brendan McIntyre is leading a huge train all the way down to 12th place, ending with Nicholas Bailey. And these guys have been battling side by side for the past few laps since the restart. And it seems like Brendan McIntyre is checking them all up a little bit. There's just been a lot of action.
And I'm sorry, there's a battle for the lead. Kimo Swamin is on the inside of Patrick Bieri. He's only got a nose in, but all he has to do is outbreak him. Just behind them, it looks like Darius Belowski is looking to pick up the pieces as he's closed up on the back of him. Now into the braking zone around the corner. Kimo Swamin has got the spot, and it looks like he's got it as they just exit the corner, slots into single file, and Patrick Bieri is able to defend from Darius Belowski and hold on to that second position. He's not giving up yet. He's holding on to the back of Kimo Swamin and Ayrton, but now he's starting to drop back as they head down the no-name straight. Kimo Swamin is looking like he has the momentum going his way in this race and overall in the championship.
Ka-ching.
Yeah, his speed has been showing to be extremely dominant, and that was an excellent maneuver on Patrick Bieri. I'm interested to see if Patrick Bieri will manage to hold on to these guys, well, it's just one guy, Kimo Swamin, but he does have Darius Belowski who's managed to catch up, but they've already stretched out quite a bit, as it looks like Kimo Swamin is definitely the fastest out of these three.
Now, remember, Patrick Bieri was one of those guys who came to form at the end of last season and was starting to get wins, and obviously has already got a win this season. So this is a guy leading the championship. I know it sounds silly, but he could be one to watch out for because, he's getting wins, and even though he just lost the lead, he's been very consistent. He's holding off Darius Belowski at this point. So consistency is key in this championship, as we've seen, Ayrton. So I'm thinking that we could have a new contender replacing Dan Rash, who has unfortunately not been able to attend most of the races so far. Patrick Bieri is very much picking up the torch to try and challenge Suominen.
And he's not alone. There's been other drivers, such as Darius Belowski, for example, who've shown really good pace, and we've also seen some other guys who have unfortunately been knocked out of the race, such as Panu Paisanen, who've also showed extremely good pace. So I think Kimo Swamin is not going to have his work really easy for him, as these guys are definitely showing a lot of speed and consistency.
And meanwhile, back in the ST class, a bit of a bobble from Amjad Yaman, and Jared Janis was trying to get a nose in coming into turn 6, but didn't have the momentum to make it happen. He's going to have the draft coming down the front stretch, but he gets very loose and just holds onto it. He's wobbling back and forth, but now he's going to lose a position to Sergio Mora. Incredible car control from Jared Janis, Bill.
That's a classic tank slapper there. You'll enjoy watching this one go left and right and left.
And we're watching it now on the replay, just keeping hold of it. We just watched the end of it there, and I was going to say that we were going to have round 2 between Amjad Yaman and João Freitas, but now there's a gap between them, and as we now see Jared Janis, who wants that position back from Sergio Mora, who's moved up into the podium spot, the final podium spot in the ST class, and that bobble that started 1 lap ago in this very corner has really started to separate these guys.
Yaman was right on the back of Freitas for the lead, and he's lost 12 or 15 car lengths there. How about a shout out way back at the back of that train in that frosted white car there to Thomas Torp. He's having a great race today, running in 5th. Nice job.
Yeah, and he could be picking up positions because he is not far behind Jared Janis, sitting in that 5th and 4th spot there. So he could get or at least he's looking at a top 5 because it's quite a ways back to Richard Losper sitting in 6th. So at least he is not under attack unless we have a caution or he makes a mistake. But I was going to say with Amjad Yaman, remember 2 rounds ago at Sebring, it was between Yaman and João Freitas for the lead and those final laps. So if he could just get up on the back of that green and black car, Amjad Yaman could be sitting on round 2 here. You know, speaking of that ding noise, Bill, I'd love to see these guys duke it out once again.
Yeah, you know, and you can't rule out Sergio Mora with the 4 fresh tires back there. Now, I want to ask you guys, I'm going to come to this from a fan's direction. Do the drivers, will they know when there's 1 lap to go when the white flag, whoops, we have a spinning cart?
You know, I talked about those mistakes and cost another driver, just like I said. Torp coming through that final corner as we watch the replay now, put his wheels off into the dirt in that fast corner, and it was a huge blow into that inside tire barrier, and he is into the pits now, and his car is crabbing badly. I think his day is pretty much done, Bill.
Joe, was that our fault for drawing attention to him? Did we curse him?
We could have. I'm going to put it on you and pass the blame.
Let me ask you again about the white flag. On a timed race like this, I'm familiar with specific lap counts. Will they know? Will Yaman know when he has to make his move, or how can he figure that out?
It's a bit tricky. Unfortunately, iRacing doesn't have it quite perfectly figured out for these road courses. So you'll see as we see Amjad Yaman dip off into the grass and actually kind of weave a little bit on the front stretch there. And I'm sorry, we have to go to Jared Janis because he's making a move on the inside of Sergio Mora. Is he going to be able to make it happen? It looks like he does into turn 1. Now, back to that question that we can't seem to get to. It's something where it averages, iRacing averages out the lap times. So sometimes it can be a little bit off depending on when the leader in the GS class comes across the line. So the ST drivers will get that white flag, but sometimes it can be as late as the final corner. So they've got to keep kind of half an eye on what we call their F1 box. Their F1 button brings up a little box that tells them how much time is left. Or if they've got a crew chief in their ear, Bill, that can be extremely helpful in not having to press buttons in what is a track that can keep their hands busy already.
So if Yaman can actually catch back up to Freitas here, he may not want to play it too cagey and wait too long if he wants to make a move before the last lap. Because really, if you're going to make a move here on the straightaway, you got to do it before the last lap because the start-finish line comes so quickly after turn 4.
Meanwhile, it sounds like we have a battle for 4th in the GS class. I'm sorry, this is a 6th place battle. This is Jason Lundy just behind Sean Vandergriff, and it looks like Vandergriff has gotten past him recently.
Well, actually, Lundy tried to make a maneuver for the 4th place position on Brendan McIntyre. They touched doors going into turn 1. He lost position to McIntyre, and then also right after in turn 3, lost position to Sean Vandergriff as well. He might have a little bit of suspension damage as well, but I'm not quite sure. He looks to be struggling a little bit.
Now, Vandergriff, I don't think is going to be in contention for the championship unless we see some serious mistakes from guys up front over and over. But Vandergriff has been a name that has been showing up. This is his rookie season, up towards the front here, Ayrton. And if he keeps racking up these top 5s, I think he could be looking at a podium finish in the points here.
Yeah, multiple drivers, especially For example, Wayne Bork, who's actually now in 16th position, he was battling for third place with Dariusz Pulowski earlier on in the race before the pit stops. So he's also a possible contention for the points in the top 5, as well as also Brendan McIntyre, who's sitting in 4th place at the moment. So these guys, if they can get those consistent top 5s as we're seeing now, they can really put a big hit into the points.
Now, Kimo Swamanen up front as we watch Brendan McIntyre, who we were just speaking to. Now we switch to Kimo Swamanen. Excuse me. He hasn't been running away completely. He's got about a second and a half gap back to Patrick Bieri, who is just about a second ahead of Dariusz Pulowski. So these guys are a little bit spaced out. But Kimo definitely has himself just a little bit of breathing room, especially since right now he's got Wayne C. Bork, who is a lapped car, separating themselves at the moment. So he's looking quite handy. We've got about 24 minutes left to go on the clock. If he can just keep this gap together and keep away the mistakes, I'm going to find some more of that wood since Bill and I unfortunately did that to Thomas Torp earlier. But keeping the mistakes out is just going to be so critical for these guys. Keep their tires on the black stuff and keep it pointed forward.
And Patrick Bieri is going to really have to hope for some lap traffic for Kimo Swamanen to hold him up. But at the moment, Patrick Bieri has 2 Mustang drivers right in front of him. That's Wayne Bork and also Philip Carpenter, both lapped down. He managed to get by Carpenter, but he still has Wayne Bork, who's pretty similar in speed, only about a couple tenths off. So it might be a little bit of a struggle.
Meanwhile, let's jump back to the battle for second in ST class because Amjad Yaman just seems to struggle with that uphill corner, Bill. This is the second time I've seen him get a bad run through there and the car behind almost try and take it into turn 6, which isn't impossible, but very tough to do. Jared Janis has been hunting him down, but hasn't had an opportunity yet.
Well, Giannis is smart. He's not going to want to battle Yaman if Yaman has pace to catch Freitas, who's in front. But if Yaman's not going to do it and he's beginning to lose touch with Freitas, I think maybe put some colors.
And we lost Bill once more, unfortunately.
Here, I'm back.
There we go. Oh, maybe we haven't got him back, unfortunately. But in the meantime, yes, the colors of these cars as we're watching Jed Yaman in that green car up in front. And once again, very slow up that uphill. Jared Janis in the red, black, and white, not able to do anything. Just behind them, ready to pounce if they get an opportunity in the teal car, is Sergio Mora in that blank car with no sponsors, waiting to pick up the pieces. But this time, it's the best chance we've seen as Jared Janis now has a draft and a run down the front stretch. He's looking to the inside of Amjad Yaman. Is he going to be able to make it happen? And Amjad actually backs out of it and lets him have the place. I think this goes back to what you're saying. Oh, and he takes a over-under on trying to get the spot back, but he's not able to do it. But Bill, I think this goes back to what you said about knowing, when to battle and when to just let the car have it, because I think if he knows that Jared Janis has better pace, he just needs to hold on and try and ride those coattails up to the leader.
I think my push to talk button doesn't like me to ramble long, so it keeps me from being long-winded. In the Chicago's Blackhawks car there, I think Yaman was holding up Giannis. Boy, it's hard for me to say Yaman and Giannis is like a tongue twister. But I think Giannis in the Chicago Blackhawks car might have the pace to run down Freitas, who's up in front in that dark-colored car.
Well, I think that Yaman is going to have to hope for the doctor's sonic screwdriver to help him out here and maybe get a little bit of pace from that car as he wraps up these final laps here. 21 minutes left to go, so about 20 to 21 laps, which sounds like a lot in this series, but it's not a lot around this course with a minute at a time as they do the laps. And it looks like it was the case, as I think Giannis is starting to close in on our ST leader, Bill.
Yeah, I really think that he was being held up. Now, there's some traffic ahead. Let's take a quick jump here. Let's go ahead and look at the leader. There's some traffic up ahead of him that could slow him down.
And I'm sorry, I'm hopping back to, we've got a car off track here. And that is Philip Carpenter, who has spun in the left-hander, turn 3, and is trying to find himself a bit of clear track. I was just seeing some GS cars as we're now watching the replay of him, and there was a number, just a gaggle of GS cars that you can see on screen going through turn 1, and that was for position, actually. And I think that was Sean Vandergriff, that was possibly a little bit of help. Yeah, there was a little bit of help there, I think, that was German Afanador that tipped him off the track, unfortunately. And he didn't hit anything, just spun and stopped, you can see on your screens. Meanwhile, Sean Vandergriff has Jason Lundy and German Vanador, as well as Dualjean Boldrin, very close to them, Ayrton.
Yeah, these guys, they went double file, two lines deep, going to turn 1. So these guys all battling very hard. Sean Vandergriff doing a great job at leading them away in 4th place. While we did see that Brendan McIntyre has disappeared from that 4th place position. I wonder if he had to pit.
We just watched the replay of it, okay. And he actually he had a bit of a problem and just went down the order with everybody so close together. Well, in the meantime, as we watch Brendan, let's hop back up to Vandergrift, who is being run down by Lundy, and German Afanador is very close behind Lundy as well. These guys are getting towards the end of the race, so I think they know that if they've got to make a move, Ayrton, now's the time.
Yeah, it's coming very close to the end of the race, and these guys all showing very similar place throughout the race, as we do have Dualjean Boldrin taking a look, going to turn 1 on German Afanador behind them. German Afanador has a little bit of slide, and also Dualjean Boldrin goes a little wide. They are both sliding constantly through that turn 1, turn 2 sequence, but they've now already dropped a little bit back from Jason Lundy and Sean Vandergriff.
Once again, the grip escaping these cars, but kudos to both drivers for holding on. That was some incredible display from both of them. And this means that they have dropped back from both Lundy and Vandergrift, who are still battling, still close. And they've got Richard Losper, who are there putting a lap down in the ST class. This could come into effect. Is Losper going to jump out of the way? He's going to hold his line, and this is going to put Vandergrift at a bad entry. And Lundy actually gets a fairly decent run, but he's not able to do anything through that turn 6. Now it looks like Fanador is able to make it by Losper, and Lundy's going to get another opportunity coming down into turn 1. It looks like. I don't think he's close enough, though.
He's taking a look into turn 1, makes a really late braking maneuver as he also goes very wide. Not going to go into the dirt, but also loses position to German Afanador, who managed to sneak onto that inside. They're still going too wide, actually touch doors a little bit as they're entering turn 3 side by side. Jason Lundy has the inside line. It looks like he might defend this position, but German Afanador is not giving up, has the inside line once again from the next right-hander, and they're still going too wide.
And this is for the 5th and 6th position between these guys. This time, German Afanador definitely has the inside coming towards the uphill, but Lundy is just slightly ahead, so he is not giving up. He's got to stay out of those tires, keeps it together. They're still side by side through the uphill. That's impressive. And Afanador just kind of almost chops him off as Lundy now has to give up. And Dualjean Boldrin tried to take a look in through turn 6, but wasn't able to do it. That was a bit rude by Afanador, I have to admit.
Yeah, it's really close racing between those guys. They had contact as well in the earlier parts of that lap, but definitely some good hard racing.
So those guys really sorting things out. Sean Vandergriff, you have to give him credit for standing all that pressure from those guys, still sitting up in 4th, and now he's got a huge gap back to German Afanador because of all that battling. So Vandergriff looking quite handy to hold on to that spot in that pink and black car.
Meanwhile, German Afanador, after that early let-off in turn 1, dropping down to 13th place, he's managed to get back up to that 5th place position that he was sitting in earlier in the race. So really good run from him.
Now, I want to hop back to ST just because I was checking to see where Freitas and Yanis is, and Freitas hasn't really lost much, it looks like, Bill, but one who has is Amjad Yaman. He's starting to drop back.
Well, what's interesting, if we look at the leaders here, you also have the leader in the Mustang class right between 1st and 2nd in the Mazda class. Now, if Giannis can hang on here and get a little bit of a tow from that Mustang, it might be able to pull him up to Freitas.
And Freitas is actually taking the inside line coming up to this corner, and it looks like Swaminen decides to just back out of it and wait for a better opportunity. I'm not sure if Freitas was pulling off to try and let him by, or if he was defending the corner. Either way, Kimmo Swaminen is being extremely patient. He's going to be able to get him on the front stretch here. Now that they come up to it, gets himself a decent run. Now he's going to be able to out-get that little MX-5 as he blows on past. And this hasn't really allowed Janis to close up too much. And now he's actually going to have a GS car going by him as well. That is Wayne C. Burke, who is a lap down from Swaminen and is not in contention. Those guys are line astern Mustang, MX-5, Mustang, MX-5, Mustang. So these guys are all just pretty much holding position and got a little do-si-do going between the two classes.
Yeah, well, that was really bad news for Giannis because he doesn't really want to be following the Mustang through the twisty.
No, you never really want to have that. And as the cars swap positions, they still have them between them. As that looks like Janis has Patrick Bieri going between himself, but he's really closed up now. And if Freitas gets held up at some point, which I don't think he will, since he's going to get past on this first corner here, or down the front stretch here. I was going to say, wow, Giannis was getting right up behind the Mustang of Patrick Bieri for a moment there, and it looked like he might have an opportunity, but now it's gone away.
Yeah, the lap traffic or the faster traffic is really playing havoc with this race for the.
There's the opportunity as
there it is.
Yeah. Belowski went on the inside of Freitas, and now Freitas is desperately looking to hold on to that position. Went inside defensive and held off Jared Janis, and this is going to be it. The battle is on, Bill.
And now he's there, and there's Yaman right back in third place. So these guys, it's the traffic that did it.
And that's exactly what we were talking about early on. The traffic is going to be key in this race. Who can deal with it? Who can hold on to the pressure? And Freitas is, I thought he was going to have a bit of a bobble coming up that turn 5 there, that uphill, but he holds onto it. Yaman is looking very handy, very close behind Jared Janis now that he's been allowed up through that traffic. He could have an opportunity if he gets a run down the front stretch.
And you really can't fault Belowski there in the Mustang. He's in third place. He's racing for position as well.
Yeah, he was racing Bieri. He was looking for any opportunity he had. So it was kind of, pardon me, coming through for everybody there because nobody was willing to give up positions. Now, when Giannis had a bit of a bobble coming through turn 1, but Yaman wasn't able to capitalize on that. And now they head through the left-hander. It looks like they're all line astern for just the moment with nobody able to do anything. But as we've seen, all it takes is one mistake from one of these guys and positions could be lost.
It's important to point out that Yuri Giannis was the pole sitter, so he certainly has the speed. I don't know how much car he has left, though.
It's a good question, but we think that all of these guys should be able to make it to the end at this point. So now it's just a race with each other as Giannis takes just a little bit curb on the inside of turn 5, slows him down just a little bit once again. Oh, and Yaman completely misses the apex, and now his momentum is ruined, and he starts to drop back.
And we have the lap car up ahead that he's getting around David Whammon there as they both, Freitas and Giannis, get around him pretty easily. And look at the nice job there by Yaman getting way out of the way there.
Whammon getting out of the way, I believe. I know
Giannis Whammon, this is killing me.
And this has actually allowed Yaman to get up on the back of Jer once again. That black, white, and red car is under threat, and nobody is safe. We've got 12 minutes left to go, and this is for the lead in the ST class that you are looking at, folks, after 2 hours. And we're getting some chatter on the radio. It sounds like some guys are unhappy. I think Matthew Oak was involved in that. And I think that's for a position. Elliot Huffman was on the inside, and Oak was very defensive way down the inside. We're looking at the replay now. Just look how far he was squeezing him. And unfortunately, that came to blows, and it looks like Huffman was able to come away. And I think Oak is done for the day, and he actually has run into the barriers. So Oak has gone off in turn 4 and run into the tire barriers. That was unrelated to that accident. I can't really fault Oak too much for going that defensive, although it wasn't I mean, every position counts, but boy, was he squeezing Elliot Huffman all the way to the curb there, Ayrton.
Yeah, and it wasn't really much of a dive by Elliott either. He definitely had that inside line, and Oak squeezed him a lot. So it was bound to end in tears for one of the two. Elliot Huffman didn't really get that much from it either, because he's really had some hits with some other drivers this race.
And it sounds like that this has been an ongoing rivalry as Matthew Oak is expressing some dissatisfaction in the chat with Elliot Huffman. And we are meanwhile looking at this battle for the lead still in the ST class. And Yaman is not giving up. He is right on the bumper now.
I'm not sure who's holding it. Giannis is right there. Yaman is right there in second place. Let me set the table here. You have Freitas in the, I'm going to say that's black and yellow. I could be wrong on that one with the yellow stripe down. Maybe it's a green stripe down the middle.
Green and black.
I hate colors. There's a stripe down the middle. Now you got Giannis in the Chicago Blackhawks car, and then you got Amjad Yaman in the kind of brown child's play car. These guys are green. The director, shut up, director. Let me just call the action here. These guys have been nose to tail for like the last 4 or 5 laps. I don't know if Giannis in second place has anything for the leader, and I'm going to get out of here and go have my eyes checked.
Well, this time, Jared Janis had a bad run down to the front stretch. Amjad Yaman is taking a look. There's only 9 minutes left. This could be a critical move. Amjad Yaman is into the inside. Janis is trying to hold on around the outside, but now he doesn't have it as he's got to slot into position, and Yaman parks it on the apex as Janis goes completely off the track and able to hold on to it. But now Amjad Yaman has moved himself up into second. Is he able to run down the leader, João Freitas, with only 9 minutes left to go?
And falling out of that race, Sergio Mora has dropped back. He's really not a contender anymore. And let's give a quick mention. Running all by himself is Richard Losper running in 5th. That's a nice finish for him.
Absolutely, especially after a few disappointing finishes for Losper. This is going to be a good one for him. It's sad to see that his strategy did not work out as well as Amjad Yaman's, but he did have a few mistakes, you have to remember, along the line. Boy, credit to Yaman, though, because he had mistakes as well. Remember that spin in the final corner, sitting in second, that's pretty handy out of him.
You know, these guys know each other so well, don't they, Joe? I mean, they have raced in countless races together.
Yeah, and it's showing with the trust that these guys have with each other, and it's not over yet because Jared Janis is looking to come back. He's holding on to the back of that green and white car and looking for an opportunity to get back onto that second spot on the podium.
And just to note that the GS driver in 4th place, Sean Vandergriff, he's coming up on this pack and will probably be upon them in the next or two, and he's not going to be wanting to wait around because he's got German Fanador less than 2 seconds behind him, chasing him down for that 4th place position.
And Yaman had a bad run up the uphill, but Jared Janis could do nothing about it this time. Now they're coming out of turn 6 and into turn 7. Let's see if Janis can get that run this time. He is pushing as hard as he can, and Yaman goes completely off track as he hit the curb a little bit too hard, and it's going to be an easy overtake for Jared Janis down the front stretch.
That might be all she wrote. I think Freitas has enough lead now that he can take a deep breath of this, hit his marks, and bring it home from here.
This is exactly what he is wanting, those two guys battling it out between them. This is going to give it to him. And Freitas hasn't won a race yet in, yes, he has actually. Sorry, short-term memory there. He won in Laguna Seca. He could be the first 2-time winner in this series here, and it's going to be back-to-back if he can hold on to it, because it is not over yet. We have 7 minutes left to go, so all he has to do at this point is keep rifling all over those fast laps.
Now he's stolen the towels and checked out. I think the race now is going to be back for second place to see how Yaman and I don't want to kill the interest here. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Everyone stay tuned because Freitas could blow it.
And I'm sorry, I was incorrect, and Amjad Yaman won the first 2 rounds in ST, so Freitas will not be the first 2-time winner. However, it'll look like a close fight between, as we watch the ST or GS car of Sean Vandergriff kind of get up in these guys and try and find his way past, as he does not want to be caught by German Fandador, because that is for position. So it looks like it could be a close battle for the championship between Freitas and Yaman if this thing continues, especially if James Stevenson continues to have the bad luck since he had a blown engine earlier on, Bill.
Okay, it's Vandergrift's Mustang pink. Tell me I got that right. Is it
You
pink?
got that one right.
All
And
right.
he almost ran into Yaman there coming through the uphill.
It's going to be interesting to see now. You know, we saw this happen before where the Mustang caused problems. So we'll see how quickly he can easily get by Giannis in second, and then how much trouble it gives Freitas in the lead.
And this has caused Yaman to just drop back enough that I don't know if he can make that one up. We got about 5 laps to go. Again, it's going to take a bobble. We've seen a few from these drivers, so it's not impossible, but it's going to be a tall order. Meanwhile, Freitas continuing to lead. We haven't talked about the GS guys in a while. Ayrton, what's the top 3 of those guys looking like with that podium?
Well, it's still Kimo Suominen in first, Patrick Beer in second, Darius Pulowski in third, but Patrick Beery is keeping Suominen in check. He stayed within 2.5 seconds for the past few laps, and Kimo Suominen has to be careful with this track that is coming up, because if he gets caught too much or has any little mistakes, Patrick Beery is there to catch them.
Very much so, and it is possible to make a mistake in the final lap and throw it away. We've seen other drivers do it. Now we are back on this ST battle because it looks like German Afanador is coming through it. Oh, just about pushes Jared Janis off the track. This is going to be possibly an open door for Yaman to get back into this thing.
And Giannis had closed back in. Oh, there's a pass for second place.
Yeah, Yaman is on the outside coming into turn 1. Is he going to be able to do it around the outside? He's trying very hard. He had the momentum, but Janis is trying to hold on. It's going to be switching back to the left-hander. Yaman has got the inside for this next corner, and the guys behind them, Lundy, is being very patient. He knows this is for second place. He's still got a position fighting behind him with Duljan Boldrin, and now it looks like, Janis had a very bad exit coming out of the no-name corner, but he's got the inside coming into turn 5. Yaman trying to hold on. Is he going to try the over-under? He's not going to be able to do it as, just a tap in the back and just a bobble from Jared Janis holding it together. Now Lundy is going to go on the inside, and Yaman is not going to want to give it up. He just about squeezed that Mustang, but just gave him enough room, and this is going to separate them as Amjad Yaman gets slotted back once again by the traffic.
And Freitas says, "Thank you, boys. That's just what I needed," as he had lost all of his lead from those Mustangs, and now he got it all back with that battle.
It's that swinging back and forth of the traffic of multi-class racing, and it's not over yet as there's still Mustangs fighting for a position coming through these guys. Nobody knows who wants to give up.
All these GS cars, they don't want to give up either. It's not just the battle for second place in ST. These guys are all battling for sixth place, which is a very respectable position. So these guys are battling extremely hard. They don't want to lose the other ahead of them.
Meanwhile, Freitas is really piling on that gap, and this is exactly what he has been needing with 3 minutes left to go. This is a great opportunity for the Portuguese driver to try and claim win number 2 in this season, and this could prove that he's the real deal, since last time, and last season, he was looking good at Lime Rock Park after a dominant win at Laguna Seca and couldn't make it happen. This time, if he can hold on, he could do it. In the meantime, with 2.5 minutes left to go, Kimo Suominen, we have to keep an eye on him to see when he's going to get that white flag.
How about a tip of a cap to all those drivers who were put through there, but in both classes? You know, we take it for granted sometimes what they're doing. That was pretty amazing.
Absolutely. Those guys kept pretty cool under pressure there with just so much to keep track of, so much going on between classes. And it's still not over between Yaman and Janis, as he's still holding on to the back of that Blackhawks car. And now they're coming up the uphill with lap traffic of Richard Losper. And Amjad Yaman has a great run, but he's got a pick in the form of that AMS car of Richard Losper, a black and red car, holding them off. And now he's picked off Jared Janis, and his momentum is definitely held up. Amjad Yaman tries to squeeze in the inside, isn't quite able to do it. They were all the way to the inside of the track of that very, very fast corner. And now it's back to status quo. Even though it was very hairy for a moment, everybody is just desperate for a place to try and squeeze by here, Bill.
But in the end, he didn't get by Losper. He's still up there.
Losper really needs to get out of the way, I think, at this point. And now he's gonna, yes, there we go. Very polite driving from Losper. Well done to try and get out of these guys' way. As now Amjad Yaman is looking for the opportunity to get by. Doesn't quite have it at this point. All he has to do is keep in that draft and get a run out of the final corner, and he could have something. We have 1 minute left to go.
In Losper's defense, there's really not much you can do on that final corner. You know, you don't want to go too wide or you're in trouble.
Yeah, very much so. And in the meantime, where is our leader with a minute left to go? Timo Swamanen is going to get the white flag next time by, I believe, Ayrton.
Yeah, and Patrick Bieri has closed that gap extremely. He's within a second and a half due to Kimo Swamanen getting held up by traffic. So if Kimo Swamanen makes any mistakes or gets held up by anyone else, there's a door right open for Patrick Bieri.
Well, they've got the lap car of Kevin Cook up ahead, but he's quite a ways up. I don't think they are going to catch him. So things are on for the lead in the GS class, as we should get the white flag this time by. Now coming across the line, lap 115, an incredible amount of laps for these guys to focus as we watch Bieri try to hunt down the leader. I think he closed up under braking that time, Ayrton.
Yeah, he closed down 4/10 in that last lap. He's now less than a second behind. He has the draft to Kimo now, so down the no-name straight, he's going to have a chance to try to get up the uphill on him. But this is going to be tough because there's not many passing opportunities around here.
And Swamanen is usually very cool under pressure. We've seen him battle before, so he's going to have one chance and one chance only, I think, for Bieri to try and make it happen. And he's not closing in unless we have a mistake in these final corners. It's going to be Kimo Swamanen, I think. He's still got that gap. He's taken it easy through turn 6. Is he going to try and push it through turn 7 to ensure that he does not have the gap? Yes, he takes it nice and cleanly. Kimo Swamanen is going to have this race after 2 hours around Lime Rock Park. Kimo Swamanen takes the win. Patrick Bieri finishes in second, less than a second behind. And Darius Balowski pulls up third. What is our ST finish looking like? João Freitas is still in the lead, and he's got a handy gap back to Amjad Yaman and not Jer Janis. What happened there?
Yaman took him easily down the backstretch as Freitas Giannis just kind of let him by. I think he just conceded it.
Interesting. These guys are teammates. I wonder if that was Giannis conceding the position to help Amjad Yaman's championship. And João Freitas, as we see, has gone across the line and won here at Lime Rock Park in the ST class. 2 wins for João Freitas to match the 2 wins for Amjad Yaman. The battle is on for the championship and the ST class.
Mora takes a nice 4th place finish, and Richard Losper is going to come across, I believe, in 5th.
Boy, you got to feel for Mora after 4 races and 2 very good opportunities for a podium. He hasn't been able to get a podium yet. So now we've completed 2 hours around this place, and boy, my voice is definitely feeling it. I don't know about you guys. Let's go to break, come back with some interviews, and bring you the unofficial results. Welcome back after 2 hours at Lime Rock Park for the fourth round of the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series. We saw a cracker, and Kimo Sawamanen came out on top of it overall and in the GS class. A very well fought win. He definitely did not have it in the bag this time, as Patrick Bieri finished second and kept him honest the whole way. Darius Belowski finished in third. Meanwhile, Sean Vandergrift took a very well-earned fourth. German Fanador finished fifth. Jason Lundy finished sixth. Dualjean Boldrin was seventh. Nicholas Bailey was eighth. Elliot Huffman was ninth. Arthur Hermont was 10th. Jeff Jacobs was 11th. Then Jason Breifogel finished 12th. Brandon McIntyre was 13th. And 14th, we had Wayne C. Bork. Then 15th was Mike Main. 16th was Kevin Cook. And finally, 17th was James Alec Brown before we get into the ST class. Bill?
Okay, it was a great race for Portugal. Yao Freitas was the winner, and in fourth place was Sergio Mora. Now, sandwiched in between them, in second place was Amjad Yaman, and third place was the Finn Yuri Yanis. In fifth place, Richard Losper, followed by Matthew Reinhold, David Wammond. I like that name. Now, I think those are the only drivers. I counted 7 that were actually still racing at the end. Let's go ahead with these guys who were not running. Arthur Chan, Thomas Torp, Hang Ho Tao, Russell Klossler, Stefan Overgaards, James Stevenson, who blew his engine early. We heard from him in an interview. Tom Eckline, and wrapping out the field, I think that is right there.
Oh, Cannonball Klossler. That's a new one on me. I believe that's Clayson, but Russell knows that we know him pretty well. Oh. It's okay.
I get one per race, man.
Exactly. It's a lot of names. Also, we have the GS non-finishers: Matthew Oak, Philip Carpenter, John Ellers, Alexis Molina, and Panu Paisanen brings up the rear, unfortunately. So better luck to those guys next time. We do have Ayrton Ellis ready to talk to our second place finisher in the ST class, and that is Amjad Yaman.
Thanks, Joe. Amjad, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
So, an exciting last 10 minutes of the race there for you. Can you tell us what you were thinking through most of that?
Well, I was on a 2-stop strategy, and I was thinking the two guys ahead of me, Yuri and Yao, on one stop, I was thinking, if I don't have these guys on pace, I've got these guys on strategy. But apparently they saved enough fuel to make it to the end, so kudos to those guys.
And we might have some problems with Ayrton there. But Amjad, we were wondering about your pit strategy and with how it played out with the cautions. What were you thinking when we got that second one and you had already got both of yours out of the way?
Oh, I was pumped. I mean, I was fist pumping for at least 5 minutes through that because I knew I was good. I thought I was good on strategy, but that second caution was just way too long, and they were able to save enough fuel for the end.
Well, I have to give credit to you. I believe this is 4 for 4 in the podiums for you. Is that correct?
I believe so, yeah.
Well done. You are doing an incredible job as a rookie in this series, and it looks like you are going to be one of our championship contenders. We look forward to seeing you in the next round. Are you going to be back when we get to Kansas?
I definitely plan on it.
All righty. Well, thanks for talking to us, and congratulations on second place.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, we do have João Freitas. We're gonna try and no, João Freitas is definitely not muted, so we are gonna bring him in here and talk to João. And Bill, I believe, has some questions for him.
João, congratulations on the win. Let's talk about a one stop. Did you need the caution to go all the way, or were you okay after your first stop to go the distance?
Oh, sorry, Bill. Can you repeat the question?
Sure. First of all, congratulations. Now, talk about your pit strategy. When you made your pit stop, were you confident that you could go the distance, or did you need yellow to get you there?
No, I needed one more caution to be able to get it to the end and save fuel in that caution. So I really needed that.
That worked out well for you because Amjad Yaman had made a pit stop later than you, and he was good to go. Let's talk about what we thought was interesting was all the traffic, not so much from the guys behind you, but when the Mustangs would come through, it really seemed to to cause you trouble about opening up your lead.
Yeah, it was a little bit of trouble there, but because this is a very narrow track, it wasn't so much a problem when there were only one or two cars, but when they were a pack of 4 or 5 cars, then there was a big problem there.
Well, congratulations. Look, you're coming off a championship in the Mazda World Tour. Let's see if you can get one over here as well.
I sure hope so.
Back to you, Joe.
Next up, we have Sean Vandergriff, who we're definitely talking to this time. Sean, you were just shy of the podium. Can't recall if you had one in the previous races, but you've certainly been a contender up in the top 5. How did you feel about this one?
Actually, I was really looking forward to it, and actually, I had a lot of fun with it.
Are your hopes on trying to compete for the championship? You seem to not quite have the pace for guys like Kimmo Suominen, but you certainly are keeping the mistakes back and running a fairly good pace.
Yeah, as much as I would love to say I have the skill to keep pace with the 3 fast guys today and Dan, I just don't have that. But running in I guess, the latter part of the top 10 is definitely a goal of mine and something I think I can do. And it's a lot of fun to race with these guys.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations again on a very well-fought fourth, and thanks for talking to us.
Well, sure thing. Thank you. I do want to say my apologies to Brendan. I definitely was on the brakes and stuff trying to stay off of him. And I do want to say thanks to the Marshals and West for putting on the league. Thanks, guys. Appreciate your show.
Some great sportsmanship there from Sean. I have one more interview to do, and I believe Ayrton is going to talk to Patrick Bieri, our second place finisher in the GS class.
Thanks, Joe. Patrick Bieri, after starting in second and finishing in second, you had a good run, good fights with Darius Blasky and Kimmo Suominen. What do you think of the race?
I'm very happy with second place finish.
Now, you are leading the point standings, and this should definitely help you with the point, especially since you finished the race with 0 incidents. So, what do you think your chances are for the championship, especially with Kimmo's speed?
It's close. First, I'm very happy with 0 incidents and the bonus point. And this track, Lime Rock, I hate this track, and then the next track, very good for me. I hope I can battle with Kimmo. But Kimmo is a very, very good driver.
Well, you've definitely shown some really good pace, and especially for this being a bad track for you, you did an excellent job. So congratulations once again on finishing second place on the podium today.
Sorry?
Congratulations.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, back to you, Joe.
All right. Well, definitely a great finish for Patrick, and he's looking very good. This is his second season in the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series. So it's looking like he is finally coming to fruition for all the hard work that he's put in after a season in. And even though the Lime Rock Park is considered a classic in the sports car scene, it seems like not everybody is fond of it, which I can understand. I can't say I'm fond of it myself either. We're going to wrap up, though, and we want to thank a few people along the way. We'd like to thank Safecraft Racing for sponsoring this league, and Wes Eric for all he does to keep the league running. We'd also like to thank the various software we use during this stream: iRacing.com, XSplit, Twitch TV, Audio Technica, and AverMedia. A special thanks to Doug Beard for the cameras that you saw here today. Also thanks to the team, Kevin, Ayrton, and Bill. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at www.globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and race highlights. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at www.facebook.com/globalsimracingchannel. A special thank you goes out to Eric Ekholm, who provides us with much of our music. You can find it not only here on GSRC, but in TV commercials, movie trailers, iTunes, and Spotify. If you like our music, tell Eric where you heard it at ericekholm.com. Additional thanks go to Casey Lalonde, who provides us with music for the broadcast as well. You can find more of his music at caseylalonde.bandcamp.com. As we mentioned, our next race is going to be at Kansas Road. Speaking of an unloved road course, that one is definitely not very popular with most of the drivers. That'll take place at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, June 14th. Then, Our next broadcast, however, is the Piston Cup. That'll be tomorrow, Sunday, May 18th, taking place at Homestead. That kicks off at 1:45 p.m. Eastern. Then we've got later that night the VSRA. That'll be Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern at May 18th at Mid-Ohio. That's my home track. I'm looking forward to that one. Then the EPS does their race at Sonoma. That'll be 11:45 a.m. Eastern, Saturday, May 24th. Then the simracing.pl one-off race is going to be at 1:45 p.m. Eastern, Sunday, May 25th at Circuit of the Americas. That'll be an exciting one. That's our first broadcast at that track, so I'm looking forward to watching that one, even though I can't be there. Then we have the Northwest Majors at 8:45 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, May 25th. Their own Indy 500 takes place there. Then the iSuper Speedway Series is kicking off at 10 p.m. Eastern, Friday, May 30th. That one is going to be at Talladega. Look forward to all of those. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and I'll see you on the track.